After one of the most excellent Daytona 500s we have ever had on the channel, it's time now to get the real season started. The focus on the championship begins here today, and I know we're still very early on, but every point matters in making the Wawa Cup Series chase at the end of June. Well, this here, a traditional race, it's back in the original slot, the race after the Daytona 500. It's the Atlanta Motor Speedway, a high-flying mile and a half here in northern Georgia. And it is the Truist 465 laps of action around Hotlanta in the 2024 Wawa Cup Series. Hello, everybody. This is AG here, and welcome to the Atlanta Motor Speedway here on this fine Saturday afternoon in February, the third race of the season here. And once again, like I mentioned, this race back to its original slot on the calendar when we first had Atlanta back in the day. Of course, Atlanta being moved up to the day after the race after Daytona, I should say, in real life. And we're doing the same thing. So this race was in the chase last year when the ratings were much built up going into that one today. Okay, we're still pretty early on in this season. We're still going to have some differences, but these guys are a lot closer to each other, and a huge opportunity for any of these guys to get a race victory here today in the third race of the season. Joined alongside Igor Breto for the call of today's event, and Igor, oh boy, what a weekend it was for LJ Semedo, your driver, getting the Daytona 500 win. He leads in the championship standings coming into Atlanta, but now what is your focus for LJ and for Drew Webb now that we're here at Atlanta and going through the motions of these races leading up to the Wawa Cup Series chase in a few months?
Well, it's simply building up on a great start for Semedo, and Webb. He's probably doing the same as last year. He's probably staying a little bit back, trying to get a feel of the car once again after a long off season. So I believe it's just more keeping up the pace. Semedo in these first two races had amazing recoveries, starting from around the 30th position to finishing the top three in both races. Drew Webb had both decent races, so I think it's just building up in a great start for those who still didn't have a great start. It's just mostly getting back to the pace, getting to the front, which, like Drew Webb shown last season, is definitely doable to do, and maybe even win a championship at June.
We'll have to see how it all ends up shaking out for your two drivers. Of course, Drew Webb did not have a good start to his season last year, and we all know what happened from there. But LJ has the opposite thing happening to him this year. Already a race win, his first ever win on the channel, and he's the points leader coming into this event. If he can keep that momentum up going through these first few races, once those ratings start to build up and he starts to get an advantage on some of these guys, LJ Semedo could easily be a lock for the chase. But hey, still 18 races to go until we get to that point. But hey, every point matters, and if you don't have a good start to your regular season, it could end up meaning you miss the chase. Just ask our pole sitter, Logan Williams, from last year, who won twice throughout the season and won the Southern 500 at the end of the year. You know that guy had speed, but early on in the season, he just could not find any good luck at all, and it kept him from having a chance at the title, and ended up finishing only 20th in the points last year. But if you get a much better start to your season, then it's going to go a lot differently. We'll have to see what he can do. Starting from the pole position here, Brady Mardigras on the outside pole. Watch out for Grattan Autosport there. Matt Tuck and Ludovic Charette, 4th and 5th here to start this one out. And already we've seen some speed out of those guys, especially in our last mile and a half at Homestead when we opened up the season. Going to be interesting to see what those guys do. In the point standings coming into this third race of the season, LJ Semedo's got a 12-point lead on Bernardo de Oliveira. Matt Tuck's third in points, and then Ludovic Charette right behind him, 19th and 21 points behind, respectively. Grattan Autosport leads in the owner standings already, and I know we were kind of joking around about Grattan Autosport being the best team, but hey, you know what? There is some truth to that, and already they're showing a lot of strength. Blaine Keys there, 5th in the championship standings, 23 points behind, and it's pretty close from there on out. We'll definitely see some of these guys start to peek up ahead as we move on. Of course, good news for you, Igor. The defending winner of this race is Drew Webb, and Drew Webb starts 14th here today, so not a bad starting position for him. LJ Semedo a little bit further behind on that inside lane, as you can see. Going to be interesting to see how your guys do and how the rest of this field does. We're going to see some guys, up front that we may see up front all year long, but an opportunity for some other guys who may not necessarily have the resources of some of these bigger teams to go out there and get a Wawa Cup Series race victory. Big thing about today as well. This is a two-stop race. We had no pit stops last week at Daytona. We added one here at Atlanta. It's just the way it all worked out. About a 25-lap fuel run for these guys in the 65-lap event. So it's going to be interesting to see how the 2 cycles of pit stops that these guys are going to do here today. It's going to affect who goes to victory lane in this Truist 400. Let's go ahead and get these guys to roll off here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Logan Williams and Brady Mardi Gras on the front row. And right behind those guys in row number 2, you got Laura Chung in the 55, trying to rebound from her poor season last year alongside Matt Tuck in the 54. Chris Matt Tuck's had a good start to his season. So has Ladovic Charette there. Grattan Autosport to the inside of Rogel Dorn in row number 3. Our Homestead winner of Avery Alford to the inside of Brian Webb in row number 4. Then Ace Garcia, who's finished dead last in the first 2 races of the season, to the inside of Zachary Fitzwater. That'll round out the top 10 starting positions here in the Truist 400. Make sure everyone's rolling off all right. And Igor, who do you think is going to go to victory lane here today in this Truist 400? A lot of speed at this racetrack and 2 cycles of pit stops here today at Atlanta.
I'm going for our rivals, Grattan Autosport, with their number 51 driver, Ludovic Charette, have a great start of the season already. So I think he'll be able to bounce and finally get his first win of the season.
Let's see what he can do. It'll be his first career Wawa Cup Series win if he can pull it off. 1 career win on the channel. Came in a 1.5 miles in the Truck Series last year at Charlotte. Let's see what he can do to the inside of Rogel Dorn there. He's in a good position. But Logan Williams, watch out for him. He had a great season to end last year. If he can start off on the right foot this year, it's going to be a lot different. Here we go. Green flag. We're racing at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Truist 400. Laura Chung is going to lead lap number 1 already, 3 wide, as Ladovic Charette had a good jump, and so did Rogel Dorn in the 74. How about Hamill Racing Enterprises? Both drivers in the top 5 is Brady Mardi Gras trying to get a draft right there now. We don't have a pack race here necessarily, but the draft is still very important here at this Atlanta Motor Speedway. You're going to see that early on as we move through this race. And these guys, they're going to carry a lot of speed. But another thing, tire degradation is going to be huge here today as well. Once we get later on in the runs here today, those tires are going to wear out pretty quickly. How about Laura Chung, though? Has not really had much success in this series, but she is out front here on lap 3 at Atlanta.
Yeah, great start from Laura Chung. Getting to the lead really early, trying to maintain a great pace for Rogel Dorn, our Talladega winner last season. Even though this track isn't properly a super speedway like in real life, he's still showing a great pace, great performance right here, and trying to go for the lead. And to turn one in
to the inside there, and he's going to make that one look easy on Laura Chung. So Rogel Dorn to the race lead here in the 74. Ladovic Charette there in 3rd, and you got Brady Mardi Gras, Avery Alford. How about Alford? You know, he's had a great start to his season. Of course, maybe not the best of runs at Daytona. Oh boy, that was tight right there, and what a move for Alford there to the inside of Charette and Mardi Gras into the corner. Actually going to hold those guys up just a little bit right there and allow Rogel Dorn and Laura Chung to pull away. But how about the 74 pulling out here for Hamill Racing Enterprises?
Yeah, great performance right now by the 74 Rogel Dorn. He was showing his pace, probably trying to get into the chase, what he kind of did last season. And he's trying to get in as early as possible this season. Trying to get as much points, much win as possible. Great performance by Laura Chung. But gotta say, what a move was that by Avery Alford. Didn't expect to make it 3 wide into the corner and just pass them both. And now Ludovic Charette's just falling down the path and they're onto P8 already. So not a great start by the Grattan Autosport driver.
Yeah, and Ladovic kind of struggled there. So did Matt Tuck at the start of that race. He's falling back just a little bit. Matt Tuck there in his 13th position right now with Braden Perez ahead of him. That's Seth Cole right behind him right there. Here's your guy, Drew Webb to the inside in the 99 machine. Matthew Hubert there in the 0, and then Justin Seidel on the inside lane. Still a long race to go here at Atlanta. Only lap 7 of 65, and like I mentioned, 2 cycles of pit stops here today as well. Solid run for Trackhouse with both Seth Cole and Daniel Paulus Jr. here in the middle of all this mess. Here's our last winner, LJ Cimento there, getting that win at Daytona in the Daytona 500 last week. He's down at 25th, not the best of starting positions for him here today, but still a long ways left to go for him, and trying to get something to go his way here at Atlanta. Lane Keys, Nicholas Samuel not off to a good start this season. He had a much better start to the season last year than what he's got going on right now, and not a good start to this race as he's down in 32nd. Remember, he was much more dominant in this race last year. So the ratings were a lot higher in that one than what we have right now, but still not a good start to the season for the runner-up in the championship from last year, still going for his first career win in the Wawa Cup Series as well, oddly enough. I mean, the dude's got 25 wins, but he's never won in the Wawa Cup Series specifically. Rogel pulling away here from Laura Chung. It's about an 0.8 of a second lead for him in that 74. Laura Chung is second. Avery Alfred, Brady Mardi Gras. Got Brian Webb in the 5th position. Jack Haas is here in 6th. Great run for Jack Haas. Ace Garcia, Ludovic Strat, Andrew Miller, Logan Williams rounding out the top 10. So a lot of guys who haven't had too much long-term success in the Wawa Cup Series up front right now here in this Truist 400.
Yeah, some are even rookies like Jack Haas, which was probably the preseason most popular driver coming into this quarter with his friend in the sheep with Trey Barton and all of that. And honestly, great performance by these drivers, which we normally don't hear as much, especially last season, with the likes of Brian Webb, Brady Martin, and Laura Chan. Having great performance, great starts to the season. But let me say that the race now has calmed down a little bit after those first 5 laps. Probably the tire wear kicking in already. And we gotta think that probably some drivers will try an undercut. Probably maybe with the dead cycle, maybe starting around lap 22 to 23. So some drivers might already be feeling the effect of the tire wear at this point.
With only about a 25 lap fuel run as well, those tires are going to wear out really quick. And I think we're already seeing the effects of that right here. But how about Brian Webb is getting 2 for 1 right there essentially. 13 machine looking really quick, but Rogel Dorn, this is exactly what Rogel was wanting. A car that could take him to victory lane right off the bat, and this is a driver who's really good all around here on the channel. Had a lot of great runs in a machine that really was not up to speed with a lot of the faster cars last year. Almost made the chase and couldn't pull it off, but even in that last race in the Southern 500, he was still up front in the top 10 majority of that race, and here he is now in a solid ride. Hamel Racing Enterprises trying to get their 3rd win as a team. Of course, they got a couple of wins last year when Echo Evans Ross drove for them. And now you got that 74 machine pulling out to a 1.5 second lead already. We're only on the 3rd race of the season, and here's what Rogel Dorn is doing here on lap now 14 of 65 at Atlanta, but still a long ways left to go in this race. And you never know when a caution might occur as well, and could be a blown engine, could be a car stopped on the racetrack. Lots of times we do not go caution-free in these Wawa Cup Series races, and we'll have to see if something happens at some point here today. But right now, a clean start for these guys. You got Daniel Paulus Jr. making some moves in the 24, and you got Matt Tuck in the 54 trying to rebound from the poor start that he had. You got those guys moving up a little bit into the 13th and 14th positions. Fitzwater in the middle of all this. He finally got his first top 10 of the Wawa Cup Series last week at Daytona. So he's already off to a much better start this season than what he had last year. Of course, with a much better team. But kind of a mid-run for him right now. Travis Crampton, we had Travis in the booth on Wednesday for the Sprint Series race. He almost won this thing last year. Comes into this 22nd in the running order for right now. But Travis definitely looking to get off to a good start. Of course, he won Las Vegas. That's our next race, next weekend. But not the best of starts there for Crampton to start off this one. Justice Idell making a move there on Matt Tuck. A lot of movement going on here. Andrew Miller to the inside of Ace Garcia right there. And Brian Webb, all these guys have closed in on Laura Chung in the 55 as Rogel Dorn has pulled away to a 1.6 second lead.
Yeah, great performance for Rogel Dorn. Definitely with a long run car, which wasn't like Laura Chung, which is probably a short run setup. But Jesus Christ, over 2 seconds already for Rogel Dorn. But Rogel Dorn, if no caution happens, he'll probably be the biggest contender for this win right now. He already has the choosing. Yeah, and we haven't even gotten to the first pit cycle. If he can time his pit stop perfectly and no cautions, this race is in his hands already. As Brady Mardi Gras trying to get second from Lorichan, but it's been really tough right now with the tire wear.
I think that 55 a little bit off the pace as well, holding these guys up because you got all these guys right behind her now. With Mardi Gras, Brian Webb, Jack Haas, and then Avery Alford. Brian Webb definitely appears to have one of the faster cars back in here. He's going to make a move on Mardi Gras there, but we saw this in the Sprint Series race. A little bit hard to get that inside lane to work, especially once the tire wear gets a little bit more significant, and you're seeing Mardi Gras get that outside lane to work to his advantage quite a bit there. But Brian Webb, now this is a driver, had a solid year last year there for Team Williams. Couldn't quite get it done. Couldn't get to victory lane last year. Had a shot at Road America with Justin Zaidel, but couldn't quite pull it off there. But, we were always focusing on Braden Perez. I know you were focusing on a lot as he took a couple of wins there away from Drew Webb last season. But, hey, this team is really good, and Brian Webb is a great driver. And even though he didn't go to victory lane last year, he comes into this race 11 points. He's got another good run going for him, and he could definitely be a chase contender once we get on through the season here. We're about 5 laps away from our cycle of pit stops. These guys, tire wear is at its peak at this point. And these guys just trying to cruise along right here to get to that first cycle, but some of those guys who come down first, they're going to have the best advantage, but right now we're probably pushing maybe 150 into the corners, which is a lot slower than what you would expect on a super speedway type track like this, but lots of tire wear as Brian Webb there. He's going to go ahead and take second away from Laura Chung, or at least attempt to do so. He's got it there on the 55. 2.8 seconds now for Rogel Dorn. Wow. Didn't quite expect this early on in the season, but it's like Drew Webb's driving that thing.
Yeah, Rogel Dorn, great performance. Like you said, last season with a Ford team couldn't perform as much, but now this season he with HRE he's already why he's a Cup Series driver, why he deserves his ride. Almost 3 seconds lead already before the fifth. Over 3 seconds now for the first speed cycle. So yeah, great showing. Brian Webb as well with strong ground. Like I said last season, he was probably a little bit overshadowed by Blaine Keys by his with the guy with the same surname, Drew Webb, and honestly, great showing by Brian Webb, just showing that the Webb surname is definitely a great one for the series.
Absolutely. He actually got passed again there by Laura Jung, and it's now a 3.5 second lead for Rogel Dorn, which is quite... If this is what he's doing now, just wait until we get to the end of the season. Oh boy, these guys definitely got to be thinking about their strategy going forward if this is the case here. How about Daniel Paulus Jr.? This is another fast car here, another guy who saved up his stuff here, and I think that's what we're kind of seeing right here is these guys early on in the run saving their tires so that once we get later on in the run, they have a much faster car. Braden Perez moving his way up. Daniel Paulus Jr. doing the same thing. These guys, they got to be careful not to wreck going into the corner, and they're just allowing you to see they keep on battling for second, and Rogel Dorn just keeps on pulling away more and more each and every time. 4 seconds now for this 74. But, hey, we're not even halfway through this race, and we still got 2 cycles of pit stops left, so a lot can go wrong. Jack Haas, it looks like he's going to start the cycle here. As a matter of fact, this is going to be interesting. A lot of these guys coming down now, trying to get some sort of an advantage. Of course, with the tire wear as significant as it is, keeping Rogel Dorn out there an extra lap might be the advantage you need to possibly win this race. And if Brian Webb can get a clean racetrack, he might have a shot at possibly getting to that 74. Green flag pit stops here at Atlanta. Let's hope that we finally get through a cycle of pit stops without anything stupid happening. I mean, Homestead was Trey Bartow and Sam Oskin. Hopefully we don't have a wreck during this cycle, but we'll follow here with this 13 machine, who I would imagine will be a 4-tire stop for him. Obviously, the way the tire wear is here at Atlanta, you definitely want to make sure you have those fresh Goodyears. And he's going to get out in a jiffy in that 13 machine with Jack Haas right behind him. Daniel Paulus Jr. with a great pit stop. He's third off the pit lane there. Couple guys still staying. Actually, I think Logan Williams and Chase Buck had already come down the pit lane, so they're going to actually have a bit of an advantage, and they might slice through this field fairly well. You can imagine that
they might get up to the front.
Is on the pit lane here, and he is coming off now in that 74. Had a 4-second lead before the cycle. Let's see where he is. Brian Webb coming across the tri-oval here. Jack Haas with a great stop as well on the 39 machine. We're still going to have one more cycle to go in this race, which will definitely shake some things out. It looks like Rogel's going to have the advantage here. Brian Webb will close in a little bit, though, and he's got some drafting help from Jack Haas in that 39 machine. And hey, Evans Ross Racing, they went to victory lane on Wednesday with Dylan Matthews. You know, this team is pretty solid, but Rogel holding on to the race lead here after the pit cycle. And he is going to officially take the lead back. As a matter of fact, he never lost the lead there. But he is going to lose about 2 seconds there because of that cycle. And Brian Webb, Jack Haas come in on a lap earlier. Gained 2 seconds on Rogel right there. Brian Webb is now going to chase down, or at least attempt to chase down, this 74.
And I gotta say, this just show how great the undercut for just being a lap earlier is. Just look at Logan Williams and Chase Buck. They were probably battling for around the 15th place, and they're now up to 5th and 6th place, which just shows the importance of pitting a little bit earlier. You need to have a little bit more tires heading into your stand because how much can they just been 1 or 2 laps earlier.
Great stop for those guys, and they had 2 laps on Rogel right here, so they really closed in significantly. They actually have about the same distance that Rogel had on the field coming in 2 laps earlier right there. And hey, Chase Buck, Logan Williams, 2 strong guys from last year here in this Wawa Cup Series. No surprise to see them run as well as they are, but guess what? Rogel pulling away again here in the 74 machine. 2.5 seconds now on Brian Webb, and that 74 is just lightning fast here around this 1.5-mile racetrack. And it's something to see this early on in the season. We didn't quite see a dominating performance like this at this point last year. But you know what? These guys learned a lot last year, and I think they're figuring certain things out going forward here that might already be affecting. Of course, too, we got some more points at stake here as well. Of course, we had 10 points for that first ratings adjustment. And then we've had 2 more races since then. We're on our 4th form already for these guys. So, you know, there's a maximum points of 24 that you could have placed. No, not 24. 22 points. 22 points that these drivers have already put towards their cars already, which is a lot more than what we had at the 3rd race last year. Of course, 3rd race last year was at Auto Club. This one here at Atlanta, much different racetrack, and Rogel just laying it down on him. How about Brian Webb, though? Stronger from him. How about Jack Haas, rookie driver here, up to 3rd. Daniel Paulus Jr., this is a solid run for Daniel. Didn't have a good run last year, but you know what? He's with a much better team this year. Running 4th, Chase Buck and Logan Williams there in line, 5th and 6th. How about Travis Crampton? He's a guy who was rather strong here last year at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He's 7th. Matthew Hubert is 8th. Braden Perez and Laura Chung rounding out the top 10. You got Trey Bartow there in 11th. Blaine Keys, who has actually won here at Atlanta before in the Cup Series, way back in the day. He's 12th. And you got Angel Gutierrez in 13th. Justin Zidell, Brady Murdecrow, a bit of a slow stop for him. A slow stop for Ludovic Charette. Not exactly what those guys wanted, and here we go. How about Drew Webb and Nicholas Amadia running each other again? I know it's a little bit deeper in the field than where they were used to being last year, but you can't separate these two, can you?
Hey, it's still early on in the season as well, so it makes sense that they might be battling down the field, but I believe by the end of the season they might be battling for this once again. I just hope that Mr. Ed just won't get the edge this time on Drew Webb. That's the only thing I hope. I wonder where Matt Tuck is, though. Matt Tuck really fell off, especially after this pit stop.
He's 26th right now in that 54 machine. Not at all a good run for Matt Tuck in this one.
Yeah.
Only expected a much better run out of him. Hey, he won the 3rd race of the season last year. Not exactly the case right now for him in that 54 machine to the inside of Jesse Turner right there. Also got Seth Cole, Bruno Giacomo, Brad Stover, Kirsten Bell in the middle of the field, Zachary Fitzwater, Andrew Miller. And our first Sprint Series drivers, Dylan Matthews, who won on Wednesday in the Sprint Series. He's right there with Alexander Rome, the 00. There's Roberto Crown Jr. deeper in the field. Philip Torres, Bryce Egan. There's last week's winner of LJ Cimento in 32nd. Yikes. And then Ace Garcia. 31 machine is Ethan Lewis this week. Great to have Ethan back behind the wheel. 73 is Sam Oskin. Thomas Troxel on a good run for him here today. And you got the 50 machine there of Brandon Nelson. Tanner Parton there in the 18. Bernardo de Oliveira in the 57. Not a good run for him. And then Avery Alford a lap down. He had some sort of an issue right there. Not a good run for our Homestead winner. What an interesting race so far. They're all over the place on the field. We're still very early on in the season, but we're having a driver dominate the way he is with a 4-second lead, looking for a second career win here in the Wawa Cup Series. And that's Rogel Dorn in that 74 for Hamill Racing Enterprises.
Yeah, again, what an impressive performance for not many races put on, even though it's 22 points, but compared to the race here last season where we had 8 points placed already, it's definitely an impressive performance by Robodor because even though he lost about 2 seconds in the pit cycle, he already recovered back. So honestly, I can't. Like I said previously, this race, Robodor only loses if it crashes or with some caution shenanigans, which honestly, considering that he played later in the other guy for the first man, I don't think it'll happen because he just game all over the field.
You know what this race reminds me of, and I don't know if I want to remind you of it, is when Drew Webb dominated in Michigan last year. That was, we all know what happened there. That's definitely kind of the feeling that I'm getting right here with Rogel Dorn. So you got to be careful too. You never know what kind of shenanigans could end up happening as we move through. How about Travis Crampton? He's up to 5th now in this 98 machine. He's blown by Chase Buck and Logan Williams. I think he also got around Braden Perez as well. But this 98 machine looking really quick early on here. And hey, you know what? He was in the booth on Wednesday. Probably saw some things that he liked, and he's using that to his advantage here tonight in this Truist 400 at Atlanta. 25 laps to go. 5.5 seconds right now for Rogel Dorn. 5.5 seconds. That's insane for an oval track this early on in the season. I think we'll see something different next week at Las Vegas, but when the strongest car in the field happens to start up front, I think that's what you get right there. And look, Rogel Dorn doing an excellent job here today, just laying them down lap after lap. Oh, never mind. We've got ourselves a wreck off the corner. That's going to change everything. Philip Torres involved, the 11 of Dylan Matthews, the 00 of Alexander Rowe. And that right there was the caution that Brian Webb wanted. Bryce Egan torn up in the 69. That wasn't nice. And this is right here around the fuel window. Now, they will be able to make it from here on out, but this is going to be the money stop right here. And it's going to be interesting to see how it ends up shaking out for Rogel Dorn here at the end of this race, because now he's going to have Brian Webb right behind him.
Yeah, definitely. This caution throws everything up because the pit crew will be really demanding now. They need to be perfect, especially the HRE crew, to make Rogel Dorn come out back in first. So let's just see, and hopefully for Dorn, he can have a great stop. But obviously, Brian Webb and the other guys are hoping he has a bad stop just so they can catch up and maybe pass him as well.
We'll have to see what Rogel Dorn can do right here. He's got a good gap on the rest of the field coming down the pit lane. Now, this race just got interesting. We thought Rogel Dorn was going to pull away to like a 5-second lead right there. Well, nope. That ain't going to happen here today. It might still happen. We'll have to see how this pit stop ends up shaking out. But Rogel Dorn there in the 74. Of course, it's going to be a 4-tire stop. It's right on the cycle, too, so we'll be able to make it to the end of the race. But then again, the end of the race, Logan Williams. That's some strategy right there. I don't know if that's going to work for him, though. Rogel Dorn will get off second. Jack Haas and Brian Webb. A little bit slow stop there for that 13 team. He's going to lose some ground. Not exactly what he wanted. That is an interesting strategy out of Logan Williams, who, keep in mind, was our pole sitter. And he had that first pit stall, so he's going to use that to his advantage. And I'll have to go back and see if he ended up making 2-tire stop there, or even a no-tire stop. I don't know why you would do that on a track such as this with the tire degradation the way it is, but we'll have to see what Logan Williams can pull off here. Rogel Dorn will be second, and then it's Jack Haas, who will be third, Daniel Paulus Jr., Trey Bartow in the top 5. This is going to get interesting here, folks, in the Truist 400. But first, let's see what happened to bring out the caution here at Atlanta late on in the race for our first yellow flag of the day. Well, Travis Crampton is the reason for this, and this is real time right here, obviously. That looks like a tire going down, possibly, or cylinder going down, or something. Something had gone amiss on that car. This right here is where the accident occurs. Jesse Turner, who is right ahead of Alexander Rowe right here, slows down, and Rowe does not anticipate it has to come up, and Dylan Matthews just keeps on going. The two Sprint Series drivers there in the hot seats getting involved, and Alexander Rowe going up into the outside wall with Dylan Matthews. Bryce Egan had nowhere to go, and neither did Philip Torres in the 20, who runs right into the back of Egan. And Avery Alford, who was already a lap down from that. Semedo. Nope. He may have avoided it.
Nope.
I thought he got caught up in this. Not the case. That was it. Just those four guys, apparently. We had a lot of guys involved in this one, or so it seemed. And I saw a lot of guys go around. But, you know, for Atlanta standards, pretty minor accident. We get some pretty big wrecks here at this Atlanta Motor Speedway sometimes. And see Rogal Dorn, our race leader. Not the race leader anymore because Logan Williams had an interesting strategy on the pit lane. We'll show you that here after we get to the real-time review of this accident here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
So yeah, up front, Travis Crampton with his probably engine problem, and these guys all running up back here trying to get up to the front, but Jesse Turner just brakes to avoid Crampton, and Dylan Matthews caught up Alexander Rowe, Bryce Egan, and Philip Torres nowhere to go. So yeah, just an unfortunate crash for those four drivers. Unfortunate problem as well for Travis Crampton, but hey, still got a long race to go, still got over 20 laps to go, so still a great race ahead of us, so hopefully those guys can be able to recover.
And then on the pit lane, of course, Logan Williams was already playing strategy because he was 2 laps ahead of Rogal Dorn on the cycle. We'll see what this 95 ends up doing right here on the pit lane. Well, let's see what he did. Let's see what he did here. We'll get to it in just a second. All right, Logan Williams here in the 95. And, of course, we do not see the replay while we're recording the race. And, I'm one. That was a real quick jump. It might have been a top off there, and that ain't going to work out. He's going to have to come back down the pit lane because clearly they're not getting enough fuel in that car. And I'm wondering if he overshot the pit lane and decided to just stay out to get some laps of lead. Because at that point, you know, you're just going to be coming down the pit lane. But, you know, Appalachian Motorsports, they have some tough strategies here at Atlanta. Obviously, that was shown last year with Nicholas Samadillo having his pit road issues. Rogal Dorn, though, still in second. We'll have to see how well he gets around this 95. Jack Haas, Daniel Paul Sr., Trey Bartow. Is your top 5. Let's go ahead and see what happens on the restart here in the Truist 400 at Atlanta. We're back here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway Truist 400. We thought Rogal Dorn was going to dominate this race. Well, he's not even the race leader anymore. Logan Williams is taking it back on strategy. I believe he either went no tires or 2 tires in the stop. Of course, we don't go back to see it because, you know, I don't want my game to crash. You know, I've had that happen to me enough times in my life. Rogal Dorn, though, is still second. He easily won the race off the pit lane of everyone who took 4 tires, and you got Jack Haas there in third. Daniel Paulus Jr., what a win that would be if he could pull this off here at Atlanta. And Trey Bartow, Braden Perez, Matthew Hubert, Brian Webb, Chase Buck, and Blaine Keys. Well, Igor, how do you think it's going to shake out, and do you think Logan Williams has anything for this field?
I don't think so. He probably did a turn stop, which, considering 2 of his tires are new, but 2 of his tires are already about 20 laps old. I think that was not a great move by his team, but still, you got to risk it for the biscuit. So maybe Logan Williams can pull it off with Rogal Dorn right there, but let's just wait and see.
He didn't even get going at the start there. Rogal Dorn had to take evasive action, and Jack Haas is like, I'm going to take that, and Daniel Paulus Jr., I'm going to take both of that. And Logan Williams is actually going to remain out front for now. And how about Trey Bartow in the 4 to the inside 4 wide? But Daniel Paulus Jr. trying to take the race lead away. He's got it as Williams continues to hold up this field. Oh no, and Rogal Dorn's got a problem. 47
the Williams.
or 74, excuse me, as Williams is coming down the pit lane. I don't know that strategy. I don't know what they were doing. I know last year that Appalachian Motorsports had an issue on the pit lane with Nicholas Samadillo. And, oh man, that's a shame there. That is such a shame for Rogaldorn, who is not going to be happy with that Appalachia team after this one, as he is now midway through the field. Well, now we got a completely different race on our hands. Daniel Paulus Jr. to the race lead in the 24, and Trey Bartow in second with Jack Haas, Brian Webb, and Braden Perez.
Yeah, I think what happened for Rogaldorn was that he was pushed into the wall. I believe Braden Perez made it 3 wide into turn 3, and then Rogaldorn was just pushed into the wall, and that's why he lost so much time and all of that.
Don't understand the strategy out of Logan Williams and that team. They were the only one who did that. I don't know if they had an issue on the pit lane or what. But we see goofy things like that occasionally happen, and that's going to bite them, unfortunately. But how about Trey Bartow? Wouldn't it be some? I mean, it would be something if either of these guys win. If any of these guys won, oh boy, I just realized something. Guess who's second and third? And, these two, they go after it a lot, do a lot of trash talking. Well, they're up front already here in this race. Third race of the season. But they got Daniel Paulus Jr. holding them up here in this 24, looking to take Trackhouse Racing to victory lane for the first time ever in the Wawa Cup Series. Reggie's never won a race as an owner here, and what an opportunity for Daniel here in this race. But Trey Bartow, oh my goodness, he's going to have the run of his life right here down the backstretch.
Yeah, honestly, what an amazing battle this will be. Daniel Paulus Jr. looking for redemption after a poor 2023, and then we got the rivalry of the century, Trey Bartow versus Jack Haas. Both battling for the lead, for the win. It's going to be an amazing 15 laps to go.
And how about Trey Bartow? He used to drive for you guys at Italian Fury back in the day. I know you guys have a good relationship. Driving for Hairchill Motorsports this year. Hey, Hairchill's already gotten a win with Alfred earlier on in the season. Not a good day for Avery Alfred, as knocked out of that wreck. We didn't even mention Bryce Egan and Travis Crampton caught up in that one. Tough break for those guys, and you see the driver's lap down there, who were also involved as well. Avery Alfred was already lapped down prior, but Alexander Rowe, Dylan Matthews there, and then Philip Torres, and then Logan Williams with whatever he was doing, also lapped down. 33 drivers in the lead lap, and Jack Haas has taken second away, and oh man.
No.
Nicholas Samadillo is destroyed in the 59. That's a shame. Wow. Caleb Rose, I'm sorry, my man. He wants this one to end, and I think it has for Appalachian Motorsports.
Man, what a tough race for them. Weird strategy with Logan Williams, and then Samadillo, not sure if it was going to crash or just blow out his engine, but tough luck for the team, which had a great 2023.
Dylan Matthews, Tanner Partner down the pit lane. Yikes. I think Oskin might have also gotten caught in this one as well in that 73 machine. Nicholas Samadillo is done for the day. Yeah, not a good start to the season for Mr. Edge. Not at all what we saw out of him last year, but then again, still early on. But, that's kind of what happened to Logan Williams last year as well. A lot of bad luck early on to start the season. And sometimes it's too much bad luck to recover from, regardless of the ratings. Oskin's got a buckle on his hood there in the 73 machine. Yikes. This has been an interesting race. It started out with the Rogaldorn show. Now we thought Rogel was just going to pull away with this thing, got held up by Logan Williams, and just continued to lose ground. I mean, when that thing was in dirty air, he fell back tremendously. And guess who's right behind him? This Logan Williams. Don't think it's going to give him an easy ride. But nonetheless, now we got Daniel Paulus Jr. leading the field. Jack Haas is second. Trey Bartow, Brian Webb, Braden Perez. Hey, watch out for this guy, Mr. Steal You Win. And, hello, it's Ladovic Charette there running in 7th. He's rebounded. Angel Gutierrez there in 6th. Great run for him. Hey, Matthew Hubert, solid top 10 run. Blaine Keys, he's always faster than Chase Buck. And hey! Drew Webb just outside the top 10, defending winner of this Truist 400. And the way this race has gone, any of these guys can get this win. It's going to be about 10 laps to go when we restart, so let's see how it all goes down. But first, Let's see what happened to bring out the second caution of the day here in this Truist 400 at Atlanta. Just when you thought Rogel-Dorn's day couldn't get any worse. Nicholas Samadio. Yeah, Rogel kind of cuts... I don't know. That's a racing incident right there. Samadio had a much better run. Kind of just slid up in the Rogel-Dorn. But the thing is, Samadio gets the worst of this one. That's all that Rogel really gets from this incident. And then Nicholas in the outside wall right there, and then cuts down on Sam Oskin and LJ Sameto. That's a hard lick right there. It's going to take our Daytona 500 champion out of the race. And these guys just shuffling around. Ace Garcia nowhere to go. Tanner Parton, that's where the 18 gets his damage. Ethan Lewis in the 31 gets in the Sam Oskin. Jesse Turner and Seth Cole, I think they avoided. Philip Torres, that's 2 for him. Right in the Bernardo de Oliveira. And then Dylan Matthews going to take herself out in the 11 as she runs right into Tanner Parton. Yeah, I mean, when one car wrecks, a lot of them do. That's the case here at Atlanta. And tough break for Nicholas Samadio, but I think he's at fault for this one. So you reap what you sow sometimes, and going to take him out of contention here in this Truist 400.
Samadio and Rogel-Dorn battling for position right there, and Samadio maybe overdrove the corner, got into Rogel-Dorn, both into the wall. Samadio trying to get control of his car, but gets into Ogden, Sameto, and then De Oliveira, Parton, Torres, Matthews, Ace Garcia, everyone involved. A mini big one here at Daytona, which will take many drivers out of the contention for this race, which is sad, but hey, that's just hard race, and that's how it is sometimes, sadly. So just gotta move on, and hopefully these guys have a better race next time. Bye.
Well, Daniel Paulus Jr. is having a good race, but so are Jack Haas and Trey Bartow. Brian Webb and Braden Perez all on the line here. It's going to be an interesting restart. We'll see. It's going to be 10 laps to go when you restart here in the Truist 400. Let's see who gets it done at Atlanta. We're back here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Truist 400 action. What a lot of action we've had in the second half of this race. I'll tell you, we may end up with a first-time winner in the Wawa Cup Series. Daniel Paulus Jr., Jack Haas, neither of these drivers have gone the victory lane before in any race. Trey Bartow's gone the victory lane multiple times, but never in the Cup Series. Brian Webb looking for his first Cup Series win, and Braden Perez looking for his 4th Cup Series win. But hey, it's going to be interesting how this all shakes out. And yeah, we saw that wreck right there out of the race. Nicholas Samadio, LJ Sameto with a header. Tanner Parton, Philip Torres is out. And, of course, Dylan Matthews as well in the 11. Not a good day for her for Grattan Autosport. 29 guys in the lead lap. They're led by Daniel Paulus Jr. And we've got 10 laps to go here in the Truist 400 at Atlanta.
Yeah, Daniel Paulus Jr. with great restart. Brian Webb, though, didn't get a good restart. Held up Braden Perez a little bit there. And don't look now, but here comes Blaine Keys and Ludovic Choret trying to move their way through the field. And Chase Buck looks like also had a bad restart there.
Brian Webb, who was kind of dominant earlier on right here, kind of got shuffled back on that last restart. Trying to get around Trey Bartow there. Couldn't get the inside lane to work. A lot of momentum up top right there for Bartow. But Daniel Paulus Jr. holding these guys off right now on this 24 machine. I know Daniel is anxiously watching. Oh boy. Don't look now. Here comes Blaine Keys in the 41. You know, I feel pretty good about Blaine Keys this season. After what he showed us at the end of the Turkey Hill Truck Series last year, this guy is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And it looks like he may end up taking 5th away here from Gutierrez. Matthew Hubert there in the 0 trying to follow suit. Ludovic Choret got shuffled out of line, so did Braden Perez. Meanwhile, Brian Webb will take 3rd, or at least try to take 3rd away from Bartow. Bartow holding that outside lane fairly well. Good run for this 4 machine, trying to hang it in there. But this race might be between Jack Haas and Daniel Paulus Jr. here today. And what a win this would be for Daniel, considering the season he had last year. But how about Jack Haas trying to gift this advantage to his advantage? Lots of advantages here. We'll see if he gets the advantage on this 24 and takes the race lead away. Brian Webb's going to finally get it on Bartow.
Ooh. Great move by Brian Webb. Finally taking 3rd place, but Jack Haas definitely was the most expected driver going to the season. And honestly, he's showing great pace right now, trying to get his win. But Daniel Paulus Jr. will probably show everything he got. And there's Blaine Keys as well, which had a good 2023 in both Cup and Truck. And honestly, he just wants this win no matter what.
He's won here before. He's won this very race before at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Back on the old configuration, of course. He got the win, I think it was 2016, I think. That's how long ago that was. And a little bit of shuffling through the corner right there. Bad entry for Matthew Hubert and Gutierrez. Brian Webb and Trey Bartow slipping back as Blaine Keys. Oh, here we go. Jack Haas to the inside for the race lead. And Daniel's going to try to hold on the outside. How about this? We got 5 laps to go, and they're side-by-side for the race lead, and they can't stay side-by-side for too long because that's going to bring this 41 right in. And I think Blaine has the fastest car on the track right now. Jack Haas trying to get back to the inside, but Daniel holding the outside, and he's going to hold on to the race lead barely over that 39 machine. But Jack Haas, utilizing that apron right there to cut the middle. We allow that here. And it's still side by side, but Daniel Paulus Jr. is going to get the run on the outside and clear him. And that brought in Blaine Keys, Matthew Hubert, Angel Gutierrez in this top 5. So many different guys, but Blaine Keys was a guy who won a lot last year, and he's got a huge run on Jack Haas. If he can get around this 39 right now, he's going to have a shot at this win.
Yeah, definitely a great racing right now by both Keys, Haas, Paulus Jr., everyone. But definitely at this point with the tires a little bit more worn. Looks like the outside lane looks like the dominant one at this point. As Bartow held off for so long, Jack Haas, Daniel Paulus Jr., everyone. So honestly, might be better going to the outside instead of the inside like these guys were doing earlier in the race. As we're come to only 2 to go, we still have a 4-way battle for the win, in my opinion.
What a run for Blaine. What a run there through the tri-oval for Blaine Keys. Couldn't really hold the inside there on Jack Haas, and that 39 is going to get a run on the outside. Trying to close in on Daniel Paulus Jr. Now, we saw this on Wednesday, how difficult it was to make a pass for the race lead here. And that may just play in the favor of Daniel Paulus Jr., but just like you said, Igor, tire wear is very significant right now. And it's just going to get harder and harder, and it's going to be hard. White flag in the air for Daniel Paulus Jr. in the Truist 400 at Atlanta. LJ Semedo finally broke a long losing streak last weekend, got his first career win on the channel. Daniel Paulus Jr. trying to do the same here today and get Reggie Fogelman an owner win. And with them going side by side for second like that, I'm pretty sure that 24 has got it made. It ain't over till it's over, though. Jack Haas going to have one more shot on this 24. He's got a good run through the corner here. Will he peek down to the inside? He will, but you know what? It's not going to be enough. Daniel Paulus Jr. wins the Truist 400 at Atlanta. His first career win on the channel, and he gets it done in the Wawa Cup Series at Atlanta.
Amazing race, gotta say. Daniel Paulus Jr. finally gets first win. Redemption after a tough 2023 season. And Blaine Keys, Jack Haas showing why he's here. Matthew Huber was the same. But in the end, just got to remember how heartbroken Rogodorn must have been. He led probably the most laps in this race and finished probably outside of the top 20 after the restart, after getting to dirty air. So, yeah, still, what an amazing race. What an amazing finish by everyone.
And then with that being said, I don't think that's the last that we've seen of Rogodorn this year at all.
Oh,
not
definitely.
at all, but that has got to hurt. And, thanking Logan Williams for that moment of all time. And once again, another finish less than a tenth of a second. We had one on Wednesday. We've got another one here. It's Daniel Paulus Jr. with the win in Atlanta. And you know what? I think Daniel's going to have a much better year than he had last year. He's on a good team, Trackhouse Racing. They're keeping up with the stuff. Hey, this past week, all 18 teams did their ratings. So, you know what? I can say that. Y'all are doing your ratings. So, hey, you know what? We're going to see a lot of this year where these guys are just kind of all on each other. It will start to peak out a little bit later on in the year. But what a good run for Daniel to get his first career win on the channel. And how about Jack Haas finishing second, Blaine Keys in third, Matthew Hubert and Angel Gutierrez, 3 rookies in the top 5. But Daniel Paulus Jr., not a rookie. he is a veteran driver. But, our first 3 winners this season, Igor, all of them, their first career Wawa Cup Series win, actually first career Cup Series win. Of the 3, obviously you got your guy LJ Cimento, who's got a lot of experience. Not a good run for him here today as he got caught up in the action, but you did get a tap in with Drew Webb. But so far, of the 3 winners, who do you think's got the best shot long term this season? I know 2 of them had an issue here today, but Daniel looked very strong here today at Atlanta.
Well, it's quite tough. Daniel Paulo Jr. was probably quiet in the first 2 races, so it's kind of tough to say about him. But Sainz, Cimento, and Alford, they all had strong runs in all 2 races until now. Cimento was quiet in this one until he got caught up. But out of the 3 winners, I don't want to say my driver because I might be biased. So I'm going to say Avery Alford. Like I said, won at Homestead. I believe he had a great run at Daytona and ran really well earlier in this race until he had some problems in the first pit cycle. So I think out of the 3, probably the strongest showing has been for Avery Alford overall. But hey, it's the only 3 seasons we got. It's 3 races gone. We still got 17 to the chase, 27 until the end of the season. Still a lot to happen.
Yeah, and this race, it was all over the place with our drivers, I feel like. And, who knows, we're going to see some new faces up front as the season goes along. And Daniel Paulo Jr. is one of those guys, and that was an earned win right there out of that team. What a strong run for those guys. Out of the race, Nicholas Amadeo, LJ Cimento. That's a tough break for those guys there. Tanner Pardon, Philip Torres, Dylan Matthews, Bryce Egan, and Travis Crampton. We had a couple of wrecks in this one that shook some things up. But all in all, what an excellent race. That was entertaining. We thought Rogal Durham was going to win by 10 seconds, but in the end of the day, one of the closest finishes we've had all year, and we've had a bunch of close finishes already. I said that on Wednesday, and another one here today. And it's Daniel Paulus Jr. with his first career win on the channel here in the Truist 400. What a great job out of that team and Trackhouse Racing. Well, huge thanks to Igor Breda for joining me here today. And hey, here are the point standings for the Wawa Cup Series. It's going to get very, very interesting here because, we got these guys going all over the place. It's going to be pretty tight up front, especially with our points leader not having the best of days here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So we're going to probably have a new points leader. Maybe. I don't know. It might be Ladovic after all is said and done because he still had a top 10 here, and we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how it plays out. You guys will see that in just a moment. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. Huge thanks to Igor Breda once again for joining me. And hey, congratulations to Daniel Paulus Jr. for grabbing the race victory in this Truist 400. Thank you guys so much for watching once again. And we will see you guys next week from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Braille Battery 400. On behalf of Igor Breda, congratulations to Daniel Paulus Jr. Here are the point standings after 3 races, and I will see you guys later.